I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Basil, you do the roll call, please.
Mr. Basil, present. Mrs. Bites?
Here.
Mr. Doty? Here. Mr. Dungan? Mr. Kurtz? Here. Mr. Rathgeb?
Here.
Mr. Speed?
Here.
Mr. Fradowski?
Here.
Mr. Martino?
Here. Under announcements, we'll go right into district updates from Mrs. Dorsey.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm on here. Am I on?
Sound like it.
Yes. All right, I guess I am. I have some news to share about some things that have been happening in our district and our wonderful students. So I'd like to start out with acknowledging Jake Crump. Jake was part of a team that won district competition for Skills USA. Jake is a Berks Career Technology student. His team won the Pennsylvania State Championship. It was the Teamworks competition. Jake was our plumber. He was also on a team with a mason, an electrician, and a building construction student. The BCTC East team will compete in the Skills USA National Competition, which takes place in Kansas City the end of June. We will be recognizing Jake next month with a certificate, but I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, that wonderful accomplishment. We also have other students at the Berks Career and Technology Center that have been recognized for the second quarter. We have Julia Genti in cosmetology, Angelica Andrews, cosmetology, Tyler Blatt, electrical occupations, David Swenda, IT networking, Ashley LaSalle, Occupational Child Development, Andrew Clauser, Service Occupation. Those were students that had an excellent second quarter. And students of the third quarter at East Campus are Shannon Martin under cosmetology, Ryan Kinder, culinary arts, Monica Nagy, dental occupations, and Tristan Cause, protective services. So congratulations to our Berks Career Technology Center students. I try to find information on students each month that's out of the ordinary that we don't typically see. So in recognizing our Berks Career Technology Center students and the wonderful efforts they are putting forth. As you may or may not be aware, our Daniel Boone Odyssey of the Mind teams have again progressed, and we will be acknowledging their accomplishments next month. But I did want to point out that we had 4 Daniel Boone Odyssey of the Mind teams participate in the Pennsylvania Odyssey of the Mind State Tournament 2014. It was held April 12th at the Berwick Area School District. The middle school team of Hannah Brown, Taylor Eisenhuth, David Urillo, Emma Hartman, Chris Sirkowski, Zoe Thompson, and Rachel Woomer, coached by Stephanie Woomer and Fran Thompson, placed first in the middle school division for their problem, It's How We Rule. The problem, It's How We Rule, requires the teams to recreate a king's court from history and make their own royal court set in an original kingdom at a different time and place. The original royal court is composed of a leader, a minstrel that performs a song while playing a team-created instrument, and a jester that makes fun of the leader. The performance must include puppets and a peoplet, a person portrayed as a puppet. 13 teams competed in that problem and division. This team will compete in the world competition May 28th to the 31st at Iowa State University. And we had other students that also had placed, and I will go into those more the next month, but I wanted to acknowledge the first place team that is going to be going to World. So congratulations. All right, from the art world, the results are in, and please congratulate the following students who received awards at the Berks County Senior High School Art Show. Elena Casey, first place, Reading Berks Guild of Craftsmen Fine Arts Award. Rebecca Mako, first place, Reading Berks Guild of Craftsmen Award of Merit. Brittany Long. Second place, Reading Berks Guild of Craftsmen Award of Merit. Lorenzo Giotti, honorable mention in printmaking. Elizabeth Levy, first place in colored pencil. Chelsea Watts, honorable mention in black and white photography. Kelly McGreal, honorable mention in altered images. Megan Davies, third place in wheel thrown pottery. Kelsey Johnson, third place in basketry. Megan Davies, second place in sculpture. Levon Kelsey, second place in jewelry. Alicia Paulin, third place in jewelry. Alexa Troyan, second place in clay sculpture. The Berks County Arts Show is on display at the Goggle Works Center for the Arts until April 30th. The opening reception is 2 to 4. We missed it. It was yesterday at the Goggle Works. And congratulations to our Daniel Boone art students. Just a few more, sorry. It's been an eventful spring with the weather this year. Rescheduling games and working with the coaches on getting everyone on equal amount of practice time has resulted in the following. Baseball is currently 3-5 in league play and 6-7 overall and ranked 17th in District 3. Softball, if you haven't been out to a girls' softball game, I understand this is the team to watch. They are currently 7-0 in league play and 13-0 overall, and they're ranked first in district. Boys track is currently 3-1 in the league and 3-1 overall. They've been going to invitationals, and athletes have been doing well and representing Daniel Boone. Our girls track is currently 3-1 in the league and 3-1 overall. They've been going to invitationals, and these athletes have been doing well and representing our school. Boys tennis, they're working very hard. They're 0-4 in the league, 5-11. The tennis season is shorter than all the other spring seasons, and they're finished with their season. Boys volleyball is 2-7 in league, 4-7 overall, and ranked 18th in District 3. Boys lacrosse, they're having fun. They are 1-12 right now overall, and 0-11 in league. And the girls lacrosse, this is the first year for them, and they are learning the sport and having fun. It's reported. They have played a light schedule this season. There will be some teams advancing to playoffs for Berks County districts. There will also be some individuals that will be competing in track and field events in the county, district, and state. So stay tuned. I'll be happy to report back with more updates with our athletes. And last but not least, we're going to be giving out a lot of awards this evening, certificates for our middle school TSA group, but I wanted to acknowledge the high school results from the TSA State Conference that was held April 9th at Seven Springs. The high school had 14 students competing, and if you happen to see any of these students, please congratulate them. Third place received a trophy on career preparation, went to Ella Sweet. Sixth place, they received a pin on PA safety illustration, Anna Marie Frank. And a semifinalist who was in the top 12 for electronic gaming video game design, Michael Nigel and James Gagliardi. So congratulations to our high school TSA students. And that is my news for what has been going on around Boone. Next.
Thank you, Mrs. Torshey. Under agenda edits, I have a few. Following the April recognitions, item 7, Mr. Brian Bubness and Mr. Todd Sullivan will be making a presentation on the Community School of Music and the Arts program. And also under item 8.11.3, please add 2 other unsupervised volunteers, Christine Hand and Lisa Smathers. Are there any other agenda edits from the board?
Do we want to keep the realignment under the consent agenda?
When we get to item 8, I'll explain that for everyone. But if you don't want to, no. But let me explain it. Item 5, procedures for public participation are on the inside cover of the agenda. At this time, are there any presentations by the public on agenda items? We're going to skip.
Yeah, we're going to go to that after we do our presentation.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Mr. Templin, excuse me. We're going to
do our recognitions.
We're going to do the recognitions first, so that they don't have to stay for the whole meeting if they don't desire.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm sorry. I don't know if Joe is here. Okay. Tonight we would like to recognize Joseph Stephanie, who has achieved the ranking of Eagle Scout. Joseph has served the troop in positions of leadership as Assistant Scoutmaster, Junior Assistant Scoutmaster, Assistant Patrol Leader, and Troop Guide. Joseph's Eagle project was to build birdhouses out of recycled wood pallets for the Stowe Archers, located at 1199 Grosstown Road in Stowe. Joe, are you here with us this evening? Okay, so we will make sure that Joseph receives his certificate. Next, we have a very long list of students that I would like to recognize, and at this time, I would like to ask Stacy Hallman to come up, who is the advisor for the middle school TSA. What's that? Do you have anyone else with you, Stacy? Oh, well, besides them, we know.
No, it's just myself.
Okay. Would you like to hand the certificates out?
Sure.
That would be great, and I'll read the names.
You're going to do them in order?
I believe so. I'm hoping that it is in order. All right.
They're not
Thank
all
you.
here, though, Rich. So
Right. So once you hear your name, come on up and receive your certificate. Mr. Martino will be more than happy to provide them to you. We had two competitions that TSA was in. First was their regional competition. In first place, we had a communication challenge. Madison Okersey. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Okersey. Madison Okersey. Come on up. First place for digital photography was Emily Conchin. Environmental focus, first place, Justin Semmer, Justin Pfeiffer, Eddie Barnett, and Jake Brendel. Congratulations. Okay. Yeah. I'll ask that you hold your applause to the end because there are a lot. Justin Semner? Justin Pfeiffer.
Justin Pfeiffer.
Jake Brendel.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Congratulations.
First place for Go Green Manufacturing, Jordan Markle, Brad DeMild, Trisha Batt, Scott Schilling, Josh Hefner, Colin Gabbett, and Cole Reinert.
I got it. Jordan Markle.
Oh, Jordan Markle,
There you are.
Jordan.
Brad DeMild,
Brad
Mrs. Kramer assured me they were in order.
Jordan Markle was just.
Okay.
They probably
It's her
were
fault.
for Andrew got hold of it.
Trisha.
Scott.
Trisha's in here a couple times, actually. Trisha is.
Yeah, Trisha, which one are you here for?
Fast, right ahead.
It would make sense for you to go down.
Jordan. Congratulations. Sorry, just excited.
Our next recipients are first place winners for Junior Solar Sprint. Eddie Barnett, Justin Semmer, Jake Brendel, Justin Pfeiffer, and Joel Crooks.
Justin. Congratulations. They're not here.
All right. Prepared speech recipient, first place is Allison Fries. Pennsylvania Biomedical Essay Contest, first place is Zach Longan. I apologize for any mispronunciations. And Pennsylvania Snapshot, first place, Brian Stout.
Soriano. No.
Promotional Design, I have first place, Brian Soriano. Bryn Stout for Snapshot, first place, Bryn Stout. Promotional design, first place, Brian Soriano. Under exhibition problem solving, we have first place, Jordan Markle, Lydia Davidheiser, Colby Pyle, and Trisha Batt. And those are our regional winners. Congratulations. We have state winners next. And our state winners, first place, digital photography, Emily Conchin. First place junior solar sprint team will be Eddie Barnett, Jacob Brendel, Justin Pfeiffer, Justin Semmerer. Leadership strategies, Team 1, Allison Fries, Kaylee Johnson, and Maddie Okersey. These are all first place winners. Brianna, I'm sorry. For the first place PA Digital Video team, Brianna McNamara, Connor Cleaver, Kim Akwapa, and Scott Schilling. Congratulations to our first place winners. Our second place winners for career prep, Maddie, once again, and Okersey. And second place winner for communication challenge, I believe, is Jordan Markle, not Markle Jordan. Congratulations. Our Go Green Manufacturing team, second place winners, Brett Reinert and Ty Reinert. They're not here. They are not. Our STEM Animation second place team is Chris Peretta, Eddie Barnett, Jacob Brendel, Justin Pfeiffer, and Justin Semmerer. You guys are getting your exercise tonight. Good job. One more under the second place is our PA CAD, Tyler Schutz. Did I say your last name correctly? And last but not least, but under third place, under PA Calculator Robots, Victoria Pastor.
I don't believe she's
Okay. And that's what I have this evening. Congratulations to our TSA. And thank you, Mrs. Hammond, for all of your hard work. And that is my presentations. We are ready.
No, but I'll find out.
And with the conclusion of recognition and congratulations to all the students again, especially so many of them were up here 3 or 4 times, and that's impressive. Before we move on, are there any presentations by the public on any agenda items? If you would, please sign your name, sign in, state your name and address.
124 Sling Run Road, Douglasville, PA. I just actually wanted to thank the board for consideration of a parent of one of the students for the Odyssey Mind program. And this year, their accomplishment's been incredible. So 2 times in the past 3 years, they made it to the World Finals. And they're the first Andy Boone Middle School to make it. So I want to thank the school board for consideration for the sport for the team.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Can I make an interruption quickly? I'm sorry. For our TSA winners, we have first place winner Riley Mushak for PARC Dragster. We'd like to give that recognition. And Tyler Schutz for first place winner for PARC Dragster as well.
And Zach Zula.
Okay. Our apologies. And Zachary Mueller.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you. My apologies. I know, there's so many kids that did such a wonderful job.
Mr. Tamplin.
Barry Kaplan, East Main Street, Eden Township. On the agenda item 8L3, volunteers. And because I asked, no volunteer is going to be doing a bargaining job and or doing a bargaining job that has been laid off. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Superintendent just said yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Michelle Miller, 600 Ridge Drive. I wanted to ask, when you do approve the items under number 8 for consent, if you could explain to us what items D and items G are. The D is the full reserve study, and then the items G is the CCAP finance lease. I don't remember any of these being discussed at any of the meetings, so I'm just curious what's being approved. Thank you.
You want to address that?
You want me to address it?
Which one? Or Mrs. Torres, or one or the other?
It's the marriage reserve study.
Oh,
I could address the reserve study. The reserve study was talked about at 2 facilities committee meetings and also at the committee of the whole meeting, I believe. But basically, it's a study. A company's going to come in. They're going to send in 3 engineers to the district for approximately a week. They're going to go over all of our facilities, the schools, the fields, the parking lots, and everything. And they're going to present to us a capital plan of what we need to put, basically how much money we need to put away every year, and a schedule of maintenance and replacement of items in the district. So we anticipate, they said they would be here for a week. It will take them about 4 to 6 weeks to create the report. They vet it in front of a board of 5 or 6 engineers for quality control. They then present the report to us, and we have some time to look it over and see if there's things that we want to take out of the formula for funding, and then they'll give us a final report. So it's probably about a 4 to 6 month process, but it's to help us in budgeting for capital expenses into the future.
and if I understand it correctly, it's so we don't get caught by surprise with anything with our facilities.
Correct. We need to start putting money away for capital expenditures and replacement, and it will help us know how much we have to put away and when things are going to be needing to be replaced.
And
I don't know.
yeah, with regards to the CCAP, they are our mail machines, and we are just changing the ones that we currently have to new ones. Okay. All right.
Any other presentations by the public? Seeing none, Mr. Bubness, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Mr. Sullivan. Barely said it all.
Good evening. On behalf of the Community School of Music, I want to thank you for inviting us to present to you tonight. My name is Brian Bubness, and my full-time job is financial advisor for Morgan Stanley, but I've been the president of the board of directors for the school for a number of years. The school is 57 years old. It was founded by Werner von Trapp family sound music.
Excuse me, sir. I don't know that mic's on. Perhaps you can move to the other mic because I believe that was working. That works even easier.
They're probably pretty good. There you go.
As I was saying, the school was founded by Werner von Trapp. The von Trapp family from Sound of Music lived here in Reading along with Peter Lamana, who was a tenor at the time, and they collaborated together. The school, for most of its life, has been in the Center Park Historical District of Reading, although 7 years ago when the Dog Works was developed, we moved the school to the Dog Works. And so currently we're headquartered at the Dog Works. That's our home base. We've been there for the last 7 years. The school provides classrooms as well as private instruction for string, woodwind, piano, electronic keyboard, voice. All of those classes are available after school. Todd Sullivan is one of my violinists, one of my violin instructors. He has recently been appointed as the artistic director of the school, along with many accomplishments. Todd is also first violinist for the Reading Symphony Orchestra, and he will be presenting a program to you tonight for the elementary school music program. So once again, I thank you on behalf of the school for inviting us here. Todd?
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Todd Sullivan. I'm Artistic Director of the Community School of Music and the Arts, and I was asked to come here tonight to present to the board in regards to the anticipated elimination of the elementary band program in the Daniel Boone School District, and it's certainly with a heavy heart that I have to propose anything like this. I'm not proposing the elimination of the program, but it was brought to my attention that that is the intention of the board. And I was brought to make a proposal in terms of possible alternative scenarios we could have to preserve the music program in the school district. Just a 30-second background on me, just so you know where I'm coming from. I'm a 15-year veteran of the Reading Symphony Orchestra locally, performing the violins with them. And I also taught locally as a private instructor in the violin and viola for the same amount of time. So music education in schools is a very important agenda item for me in my advocacy throughout my career, especially since I started violin as a fourth grader in public school, which actually is unusual for a professional violinist. Often they start younger privately. So you can only imagine how much my life would have been affected if there was no music program in the fourth grade to start me off. And to that end, I have prepared a report which has already been submitted and writing to the board, and I also have extra copies here for members of the public and the board who don't have this. And I'd like to overview what we've come up with as a possible solution for continuing the music program at the elementary level in Daniel Boone if this indeed needs to be eliminated. The Community School of Music and the Arts is a nonprofit organization, and we could administer an after-school program that would run directly after classes end. So we would be looking at the time frame of 3:30 to 5 for services. And the initial program that we're proposing would actually be able to offer more to the students than they get now through the elementary program. So there are some additional benefits to being able to do this. First of all, we would be able to offer 2 days a week after school, and we could splice this up in a number of different ways. We could have 1 day of full band ensemble rehearsals and an additional day of breakdowns with instrument sections to give students more individualized attention. Or, of course, we could have 2 full days of the large ensembles. That breaks down to how much staffing that you want to afford to be able to do. The second item is that we'll be able to offer performance opportunities, of course, at the school with the school's blessing and in the community, because it's our intention that to still be a music program, still be the Daniel Boone School's programs, and not just us waving our flag and showing everybody how great we are. But we want to make sure that each individual school keeps their band program. Sectional coaching would be available, obviously, as part of a larger program that gives more individualized attention, and that would be a case where we can bring in professional musicians from the area to give additional instrumental coachings in addition to the band director. One of the additions that we love to see that actually has never been offered before is the addition of a strings program. And this is something we could start in the 3rd grade. So we would have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade beginning strings programs. And like I said, this hasn't been offered before. Now the question has come up, what happens to these string students later on, because we don't currently have programs in the middle or high school either for strings. And the only way I can address that is that there are outside opportunities that once they have that couple of years experience, they can not only go for private lessons to continue their individual instrument training, but the Reading Symphony Junior String Orchestra is a great outlet for continuing their ensemble experience in preparation for the larger youth orchestra. So it's not ideal, but I think it's a good problem to have in that right now there are no string students at the elementary level, so it'd be a nice problem to have too many and then be looking for opportunities for them. We covered that. So the only question then is how do we scale up the costs? Because the big drawback to this is now this is a fee-based program. It's not funded by the school system, obviously. And certainly, if this is something that were to go into effect for the next school calendar year, the problem of raising some private funds underwriting such a program would be impossible at this late of a date. If we have an extra year to go ahead and try to phase this in, and we're talking about something different. But immediately, this would be a fee-based program for students and their parents. And optimally, with the program we set up schedule-wise with 2 days a week at 40 weeks a year, and with the staffing we're looking at, that would come out to about $16 a week per student, which is not a small fee for some people, we understand. And of course, we can always scale that back. So the program specifics, the parameters, that can be worked out to, as we try to solicit information from you and from parents and teachers to see, what would work financially for everybody and how much of a schedule is realistic for them. That would include all the sheet music and instruction books they would need, but it would not include the instrument. They would still need to get instruments on their own through rental or purchase. And that's the proposal that's the best proposal we've come up with that could be done on a private basis in order to keep your music program going forward. One thing we didn't add on the outline, but I would like to underline, is we currently have thriving band programs in the intermediate and high school, and our participation at the elementary level would be contingent on the maintenance of those programs in the middle and high school, because certainly we don't want to be advocates for eliminating programs in any sense, and certainly on a personal basis, I don't. I want to see those continue. If we were to have to step in and help you guys out with this elementary program, we want this to be a continuous feeder program for those schools and for these little schools. If there are any questions?
Does the board have any comments, questions, discussion?
Is this program in place at any other school at this time?
No. This was, we were approached by the board to solicit our opinion on what alternatives could be done in the case of elimination, so we designed this specifically for you.
I should probably just state for the benefit of the public, sometime last fall, as elementary band has come up from year to year, as we struggled with budgetary issues, it sort of struck me that in the community we have other resources to support, let's say, sports programs and things of that nature. The Amity Athletic Club is a great resource for our community, and in the past when we were wrestling with middle school sports, they had indicated that they may be able to step up and help help us with that program. But there was no alternative for music, and it's something that's that I've thought about a lot about, and quite frankly, a lot of the credit here is due to Ms. Hamill, who was on the board for a number of years. She really spearheaded this and went out into the community to find resources that would be able to come together to support a music program here should a decision be made by this board to eliminate the elementary band. And that's how this connection was made with the Community School of Music and Arts. And so that's sort of the story behind it. And by sitting down and working with these guys, they were able to come up with, looking at our current program, what we currently do in the elementary school, how we pull the students out from the classes and provide that during the day versus what they're offering, which is an after school program, which is about an hour and a half. It's a little bit longer than what we currently provide, which is about a half hour. We're trying to find something that would really enrich and enhance the musical experience for the students here and try to keep it as affordable as possible. $8 a lesson, and we think that's pretty inexpensive, but there may be some things that we need to do or other resources we may need to look at for those students that and families that still may struggle with affording a program like this. Maybe that's something we could reach out to the foundation to give us some assistance with, or other resources. We could do a fundraiser or something else within the community. But it is a work in progress, just for the benefit of the public. This is a proposal. It's an idea. I think it's a good one. But we're looking for input and feedback and ways to improve it as well.
And it will include strings and brass, right?
Yeah, my initial proposal includes the addition of the string program, so we do that in addition to what you already have with me.
I imagine our students would benefit from their association with you as being with the symphony, sort of a networking, sort of a indoctrination.
I'm always happy to indoctrinate.
I bet they'd like to be.
But not only that, but I know a lot of teachers would be upset about something like this. The public school teachers that have worked so tirelessly on these programs, but I don't want them to in any way think that here's Joe Schmo walking in and taking over the joint. I'm just as much an advocate for in-school programming as any of them, just because of my history and what it means to me, and obviously the next generation of bringing the students up. It's just that when somebody solicits my advice on a professional opinion, I'm going to give it. And any way I can help you guys out, I'm here to do it. And if you guys decide that you don't want to go forward with something like this, because there are costs associated with it. There's financial costs for parents that they have to put up with before. There's accessibility issues with students, not being able to join the program now after school instead of during school. I might add, we do have some contingencies available for financial aid already in place in the school for students who would not be able to afford something like this. Obviously, with finances, that can be worked out to us. It doesn't matter if there's 120 kids or 128 kids. That's not going to drastically affect our situation. So we're always happy to take in students and not turn them away just based on cost. But those are all the details that need to be worked out. What we wanted to do is start this dialogue and see what the possibilities are in case you guys are canceling.
Just one more question. Are instructors adept at working with children these ages?
Yes. All of the professional musicians that would do coachings or anything like that, of course, are all private teachers on the side like me. So we all work with kids on a one-on-one basis and in small groups. It would be my commitment, since I would be in charge of hiring staff for band director and orchestra director positions, it would be my commitment to find certified instructors that have experience working in a classroom setting, that they aren't just professional ringers like me and come in and don't know what they're doing in a class setting, because it really is different. And so I want that expertise. So there's any number of people that we can draw from that are either retired or younger guys that are full-time employees.
Mr. Torcher, refresh my memory a little bit, because it's been a number of years since my kids were in elementary school. So for third and fourth grade, is it the choice between, is it chorus and
no?
And
fourth grade is the grade that they are given the opportunity to participate in instrumental band. Chorus is a part of their program, more or less. The children in third grade play recorders, and at Amity Elementary Center, there was always an end-of-year concert for those students to be able to, show that performance. And then with regards to the choral part, we did have a fourth and fifth grade chorus, but that was completely separate from band.
So as I'm reading the proposal here, and I see it has ensembles, third and fourth grade beginner.
Right. They're looking to be able to provide instrumental music a year earlier than what we currently do.
Yeah, to clarify that, in the proposal, we actually do have something in there about possibly starting band at third grade to offer them an extra year head start. However, it was raised to my attention by band teachers that may be just physically too early for them to handle the instruments. So then that might go out the window. So those are the kind of things that we're definitely looking for input on. Strings is definitely no problem to start kids at third grade. Back into the band.
So with your proposal, I'm just kind of batting this around my brain here a little bit. If, say, we just opted to do fifth grade for you, would the cost still be the same?
So you would still do fourth grade in the school?
Well, I mean, my concern is I know that, $8 a week is a nominal fee, but to me, $650 a year.
Yeah.
And we're already asking our students to pay for extracurricular activities, sporting events, and other things. I know that's not in elementary school, but it seems we're asking our parents to pay more and more, and I have an issue with that. So I'm wondering if fourth grade, if it's still available to all the kids, then they get a taste of the band. And perhaps if they then choose to continue, but at least they don't have to worry about that fee the first year.
Right. It would cost less to cut a grade level, however, rather than cutting a whole grade level, it would be easier to scale back on the offering in terms of maybe we could just go to 1 day a week, 1 hour and a half a week instead of the 2 days. That might be just too bold of a proposal at first until we see what kind of demand there is for it. I think I'd rather go with that so that we have the most people that are being offered the program.
And this is something we'd be more than happy to look at. We are a nonprofit organization, and so we want to stay that way. And so wherever we cut costs for these programs, I deal with the economy on a daily basis in the world that I live in. So I certainly know what parents are going through regarding costs to raise families. We're very sensitive to that, and we certainly would address that issue. And so we're open and very flexible to that, to address your question. Todd had mentioned we could structure the program with that in mind, whatever is going to be acceptable to, especially the students that are involved here.
I'm just wondering out loud, if we were able to, how many kids do we have currently enrolled in our elementary band program?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Snavely, you might be able to give me a better indication since I see you back there.
Like 100.
How many students do we currently have in our fourth and fifth grade band? And I'm sure you can only speak to Amity at this point.
Amity has in the fourth and fifth grade band approximately 145, and I believe Birdsbrook and Ocracy has 135.
Okay.
So that's in line with the numbers that we were given.
Right. So it's a little less than 300 students, and I wonder if we were to poll or survey the parents of those students, and get a sense for them, what is affordable, what isn't affordable. You could identify, for a certain number of students for whom we may need to look for some sort of financial aid or support. And if, as these guys had said, if it's an extra student here or there, maybe it's not an issue. If it's something a little bit more significant than that to make a program work, I think we need to start looking at other resources that we may have available as a school district. Whether it's a foundation or we can go to the community and ask for sponsors or somebody else. Somebody can sponsor a student, and support their music lessons or something to that effect. And we could begin to, but I think we need to almost identify what that number of students is. Is it 10% of that population? Is it 20%? Is it 5%? Nobody knows. So that's something we as a board probably need to explore a little bit. Maybe we can talk to the Music Booster organization as well and see what input they have in terms of resources that we may be able to explore, or in terms of providing. I know we have some musical instruments of our own that we provide to our students, and we could certainly continue to loan those out. I think right now students are encouraged to go rent their instruments from, is it Menschie's Music or Zetzwitz?
There's, I believe that coming in is Zezwitz, Losers, is what I recall.
So a good portion of the population currently rents their instruments.
Yes.
And there's a handful that we provide instruments to.
Correct.
Let me ask, obviously the retention or elimination of elementary band is a budgetary issue, and we're anywhere from a month to a month and a half away from finalizing our budget. When would you need to know in order to have this ready for September if we did decide to do it?
The latest would be July 1st.
Okay, thank you.
July 1st.
Any other questions?
I have a couple more. Certainly instructors would have the clearances that we require to work with our children at Boone. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes.
And are your estimates based on certain minimum and maximum class sizes?
Yeah, the preliminary numbers we ran were based on a 50% retention rate at minimum. So going up with we had 255 as the total. It sounds like it might be a little bit more than 255. We were looking at 125 students total across the 3 schools in order to make this program.
How many in each group? Not to exceed?
It'd be a nice problem to have if we exceeded many numbers. Okay. I don't think we have a problem with maximum.
And we would look at more instructors if it was necessary.
So at 10?
Well, yeah, we scaled our budgeting basically so that it's flexible depending on the enrollment. We had to do that because we're not going to know until very late what the enrollment is.
Do you have some student to teacher ratio in mind?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, basically, I don't have the staffing numbers available because that's on a separate outline. But off the top of my head, we have 6. We have 6 directors for 125 students at the minimum. And that does not include sectional coaching, which would actually decrease that ratio even further. Because when we do sectionals, we have as many as 12 sectional coaches total across the 3 schools for the second day sessions.
Would you be amenable to having some of our high school students come down after school perhaps and get involved with the program also if there was interest in
Well,
that?
anything that involves students in the district would be a big asset, especially because it would provide hands-on training for them if they're interested in music education. That would be great.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you both very much.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for working on this.
I'll leave outlines for any members of the public that want to have them all do right here.
Thank you. And thank you both again for working on this. We really appreciate your efforts.
Sir, I'm sorry, public comment will be held again at the end of the meeting.
Well, I just want to quickly say about the school thing as well, with the music program, because just like the gentleman said before, it's very important that we have things that don't have extra costs for
Sir, I understand that, but now is not the time for the public comment. I'm sorry.
When is it?
At the end of the meeting. Let me, for the edification of the board and the public, discuss the consent agenda for a second. This is our first experience really using it. And when we were putting the agenda together, what I basically said to Mrs. Torsha and to Mrs. Kramer was all the routine approvals that we discussed at the committee of the whole meeting to go ahead and lump them under the consent agenda to be voted on as one item, with the codicil that any board member desiring to withdraw one of the items to have it discussed or voted on separately has the option to do so. So, Mr. Rathke, for instance, to your question of the realignment, before we actually vote on or have a motion for the consent agenda, if there's that or any other items that the board members would like separated from the consent agenda, please speak up now.
I'm assuming you want to put a motion forward for 8-0?
Yes.
Pull that out separately.
Go ahead, Mrs. Bites has a question first.
If my question could be clarified, I don't need it removed. Is it appropriate for me to just ask a question?
Sure.
In regards to 8L1 and 2B, the extended school year, is that clarification, is that for the special ed
Yes.
program?
Yes.
And that's dictated by the IEPs?
Yes.
Is there some estimate of what the total expenditures would be for that?
It's typically, and Shelley, I'm going to pull you out, I'm sorry. Typically, the expenditures is per the contract for curriculum writing fee that we pay, and it is also paid through the IDA flow-through monies that we have. It's a budgeted requirement, yes.
Okay.
So I don't have an exact cost of what it is at the end of the day, but it is budgeted. Well, it's budget. I don't have the cost at my fingertips as to what it comes out to, but I can get that for you. I can reflect on what last year's costs were and what the needs are in comparative to this year and last year.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's federal money, so
yes.
It's not. Okay.
Yes.
I'm still curious about it, and maybe in the future if we can.
Absolutely, and I would invite you to come out because once you see the program, it's amazing as well.
Thanks. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And it does usually occur through the month of July. And it's a 4-day program during that month, which meets the requirements of the students' IEPs. Yeah.
The board members have other questions. I'm sorry, Mr. Rathgeb, you were about to...
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would like us to pull out.
Oh.
Okay. All right, so
8-0 would be pulled out of the consent agenda. Yes. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item 8-0?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dowski, seconded by Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Basil?
Any discussion? Any further discussion?
I'm sorry. Any questions or discussions that? Seeing none.
Okay. We have a motion for consent agenda A through R except 8-0. First by Mr. Dowski, second by Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Basil. Oh, do you want to do a roll call on this or no?
You don't need
All right. This was a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
Okay, item 8-0, the motion to approve the Daniel Boone Area School District Realignment Plan for Monocacy Elementary Center and Birdsboro Elementary Center as presented by the administration. Mr. Rathgeb, did you want to lead that discussion?
Just a couple questions. Any updates from transportation at all, or is that pretty much?
Transportation confirmed what I had discussed originally, that they felt that the fuel cost would be the additional and that there wouldn't be any more buses added.
So that's the additional fuel cost?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which was about
$5,000.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're, do you know exactly how, are they, will it be two separate runs then? Say if I'm in Birdsboro then in my work?
They did not confirm that with me, and I did have a meeting with them on Thursday of last week, but they couldn't confirm that would be details that I would need to work out and get back to the board with once the realignment was voted on or not, approved. Yes.
My experience, Mr. Rathgeb, with the school buses is that the most economical thing they could do would be if they go to a bus stop that has students for Monocacy and Birdsboro, would be to pick them all up, stop at one school, go to the next school. Because to do otherwise, you'd be duplicating buses, you'd be duplicating runs. And that wouldn't make much financial sense, I don't think.
I wouldn't think either. Now, the last budget proposal did include or put back into the midday bus run, correct?
Yes.
And have we confirmed the time the students would be spending on the bus?
They assured me that the students would be on the bus possibly for 45 minutes due to the stops, and the additional time of maybe transporting from Monocacy to Birdsboro, which is about 4 more miles. But if you have stops in there, that obviously lengthens it.
And they will stick by that?
Well, I mean, their concerns are bridges that are going to be worked on and other road construction that they can't. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would suggest to the Transportation Committee is that if the morning run, if you're the first one on in the morning, that when we reverse the runs, sometimes the first person picked up is on the bus longest in the morning and then on the longest in the afternoon. If there's any way to like reverse the route in the afternoon so no one is on the most amount of time morning and afternoon, that would be beneficial.
I will do that.
Any other questions or discussion on the realignment plan?
And currently the only position that is being eliminated is the guidance counselor, correct?
And that's not a reflection of the realignment. That was just a proposal that was a part of the initial budget. Yes.
Well, and if I remember correctly, there was one elementary position eliminated at one of the schools.
Yes.
But it offset at one of the other schools to reduce the classroom.
There is still one elementary position that will be eliminated due to declining enrollment at Amity.
That's declining enrollment,
yes.
not the
not
realignment.
Correct.
I know you had meetings with the public and the teachers, and and at the last committee of the whole meeting, you said that feedback was receptive. It was positive. Have you heard any more feedback?
I have not received anything that. No more feedback. There were some questions. I'm sorry. There were some questions and concerns about the nurses and people's comfort level with their current nurse, and just reassuring them that the other nurses in either school is able to manage their child's medical situations. Well, and that was one.
I do think it's a little bit of a change, but until you closed APC, they were doing it in Amity, and
right.
My daughter went to kindergarten when it was Monocacy Kindergarten Center, and they had their whole slew of teachers and nurses there, and then they moved to a different school, and so it's not something that's unheard of in the district. And
in meeting with transportation last week, they are going to work with me in order to assure the children who would have to be switching schools that they get a visit of their school before the end of the school year, get that bus ride in, and we would do both ways, Birdsboro to Monocacy, Monocacy to Birdsboro. And then again, at the start of the school year, prior to the school year, we would open up the doors to both schools for families to come and tour with their children.
The other thing I think we should look at is making sure their activities, whether it's school functions or meeting the teacher, that we make sure that we're cognizant of maybe breaking those days up because it's kind of hard to fly from one school to the other.
Oh, absolutely.
AIC and APC are right next to each other. So,
right. Absolutely.
To answer Mr. Rodowski's question, no, I received an email absolutely against the realignment. One. I don't believe you're going to have 100% in support of anything that's decided, but I've received one email negative to it.
Okay, because I've only received one as well. That's why I was just wondering if anybody else had heard, or from teachers or anything like that. No. Okay.
Not since the presentation. And I had a lot of concerns that I addressed in my public meeting that I had with parents, and they seemed to, at the last presentation, it seemed that their concerns were addressed, and they had a certain level of comfort. Maybe not 100%, but I haven't received really anything else other than the nurse questions.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just have one. It's more budget related. If the midday bus run, right now, that's the assumption is that that's in, correct, as part of the realignment plan?
That has nothing to do with it.
Just wanted to make sure
No.
I understood that.
No, that's irregardless.
Got it.
Seeing no other questions or comments, is there a motion to approve item 8O?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Twardowski, seconded by Mr. Speed. Mr. Kurt? Mr. Basil?
Well, I appreciate you thinking I'm as young as Mr. Kurtz. Must be the shirt I'm wearing
And
tonight
as
or
good
something.
looking.
I don't know. Okay, so we have a motion for 8O made by Mr. Twardowski, seconded by Mr. Speed. I'm finding my sheet. I'm working on it. Huh? Why can't I do a voice one? If it's pulled out, we got to do a roll call. All right, I'm learning something new every day.
She goes along.
She'll keep you in line.
Okay, Mrs. Bites,
Yes.
Mr. Doty,
Yes.
Mrs. Dungan, not here. Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mr. Rafka,
Yes.
Mr. Speed,
Yes.
Mr. Twardowski,
Yes.
Mr. Basil, yes, Mr. Martino.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 9, presentations by board members. Mr. Basil, is there any secretary correspondence?
Yeah, we have one letter here from the Department of Education basically responding to our request for the exception for the 100-day attendance, which they granted.
Thank you.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yes, we have a letter from the Pennsylvania Department of Education where we had made a request for an exception to the 180-day attendance requirement, and they granted the exception.
That's where those dates from last August counted.
That was for the
toward-
senior
Graduation.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a Berks County Intermediate Unit report?
Yes, there is. Thank you, Mr. Martino. The Berks County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors met on April 17th, and there are two main items to talk about. The 44th Annual Convention of Berks County School Directors will be held on Thursday, May 1st at the Governor Mifflin Intermediate School. Secretary of Education Carol Dumaresque will be speaking. Additionally, BCIU has launched a redesigned website, so be sure to check that out, www.berksiu.org. Beyond that, there were just a lot of routine approvals. Something interesting is that we ratified an agreement with the National Security Agency with the BCIU to receive a grant in the amount of $84,000 to provide support for language learning Chinese program. That was interesting. But, of course, I will forward these minutes out if Ms. Kramer has not already. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. Mr. Twardowski, is there a BCTC?
Sure. Thank you. I'll keep it brief. At the meeting on last Wednesday, it was reported that all the Berks County districts did approve the budget, the BCTC budget for next year. There were 9 second readings for policies and 4 first readings for policies, and they did sign another year of agreement with Dr. Lees, the acting, it's not a superintendent, but it's the role of superintendent. So he'll be on with us for another year, and I believe next month is the student recognition for the year, which is always interesting. The kids do a lot of great work and a lot of great things, and it's nice to see all the awards that they win. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Twardowski.
I have a quick, not question necessarily for Ms. Twardowski, but for the entire board. My first year on the board back in 2011, we went up to the BCTC for a tour, and I thought as a new board member that it was incredibly valuable because you could see the environment that these students are working, you see the classrooms, and then that was right before one of our board meetings, and we just had our board meeting at the BCTC. If that's something the board would be interested in, I highly recommend it.
I was actually going to bring that up, but I wanted to talk to Dr. Lees first. But I think it is a great opportunity because before I was on the JOC, I had no idea the opportunities that were available to our kids. And honestly, I wish I'd have known that before my daughter was in high school, because I think she would have benefited from some of the available programs. So I do think it's if people aren't really familiar with it, it is a great opportunity to see what they do. And if the board's interested, I can certainly, see if we could arrange that.
I am.
Yeah, I think several of us are.
We had actually been doing it biannually, I think every February for a while. I'm not sure why it fell off the radar, but it's a great idea to bring it back.
Okay. Great. I know in the past they've provided a dinner.
Say, and they might cook you dinner, and that's the best part.
They
of
might
the
cook
meeting.
for you.
The students actually cook for you.
Yeah,
and
they do a great job.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you. As for the legislative report, the one item that is front and center, the Senate Finance Committee is holding a public hearing at 9:30 Wednesday morning, April 30th, on Senate Bill 76. The hope is that the bill, that will be the final discussion on it, and the hope is that it will be voted out of committee to the Senate floor after that meeting. No guarantee, but we hope any member of the public or any member of the board that is supportive of eliminating school property taxes, I would suggest that you contact not only Senator Rafferty, but any member of the Senate Finance Committee, which is listed on the Pennsylvania website, and just let them know that you want school property taxes eliminated. That's the legislative report.
Dovetailing on that, I did speak to Senator Rafferty yesterday regarding the issue, so he is going to support it.
Yeah, Senator Rafferty is a co-sponsor.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying he's going to advocate for it. He's not.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Martino?
Yes.
We could also encourage the public to weigh in on pension reform legislation that's currently being formulated in Harrisburg. That would ease some burden on the school district.
Let me just briefly state that Governor Corbett last year proposed pension reform, and it got nowhere. They're again talking about it. The pensions are the biggest driver of our increased budget this year, next year, the year after that. So unless the state does something with reforming the pension crisis, and that's the only word for it, we're facing one uphill battle financially. So, yeah, if you would, write to your House representatives, your state your Senate representatives, and the governor. But the pension issue has to be resolved, and they keep kicking it down the road, getting past one election and another, and nothing gets done.
And I think it gets missed in the budget discussions. The impact on our school district over the next few years is 1.9, 1.2. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe Mr. Seldenbridge pointed that out.
Let's point it out again.
Yeah, it goes, this year our present costs are about $3.9 million. Next year they go over $5 million. And if you go out 5 more years, the pension costs go above $7.7 million.
And the portion of that's basically the unfunded mandate is hovering around $2 million. Is that correct? The portion that we've been legislated now to make up for because of the state shortfall to the pension contribution. It's not our own mismanagement of money, it's Harrisburg, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Blades. Are there any other reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to building and grounds. Mrs. Torsia.
I can't believe I'm reporting on buildings and grounds yet again. BEC boiler update. Ken Smith and I are meeting with Train tomorrow to establish a plan for the demo of the boilers, which means that they're going to start. We're going to start removing them piece by piece, I believe, is how it will go. I believe that Kenny has the rental boiler still running because of the cold temperatures that were predicted for the remainder of this week, and he didn't want the building to be cold. So we are currently still utilizing that. That's about it with the boiler update. I'll have more information to give to you after that meeting that we have. With regards to the move, the business office will be moved entirely Wednesday, April the 30th, and everyone will be reporting to Amity Primary Center for work May 1st. Kenny is taking his men working after 4 o'clock after the close of business on Wednesday and working through the night to get everybody set up, and then everyone reporting from the business office will be unpacking their things on Thursday and Friday.
Just a quick question. Have we had any contact with River Rock in terms of what I'd imagine they're starting to get their enrollment together for next year?
I had a brief meeting with Steve, and he has indicated that he has gotten good feedback from Boyertown, which he had not. Mm-hmm. So I don't have, obviously there's not exact numbers, but it is moving in the right direction, and that he's feeling very good about his startup for September. In that meeting with Steve, I did talk to him about a few things with regards to the primary center, and River Rock is going to be very willing to put in place swipe card access to that building at no cost to us. They're happy to do it. That way we don't have to give out as many keys to be able to come in and out of the building, and we would have control over setting up their key to work between such and such hours and not have access over the weekend, so access to the building would be limited. And Kenny is working on getting a proposal to them for the cost of that. And they have also noticed the sign that's out front of the primary center, which is quite old and dilapidated, and they are willing to put in place a new marquee that represents that it's both the Daniel Boone Area School District administrative offices as well as their program. So
they're going to absorb that entire
yes.
cost?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes. As part of their budget, yes.
Pretty good partner.
Mm-hmm. So.
Thank you.
Oh,
I have a question about that also. I'm uncomfortable with the kind of the overflow that we have going there. I've been in the building and we still have desks and we have this and filing cabinets, and I understand they're going to be welcome to use our things, even though they're not in the lease. I was just wondering if we could get a comprehensive inventory before they move in, so we know before they start bringing their stuff in, right. We know what equipment is ours and what is theirs.
All of their classroom spaces have not been gutted per se. Kenny has not moved all of the things out of those classrooms. At this point, the only things that we were lending to them were going to be teachers' desks, but we can absolutely keep an inventory of what is in the classrooms and what is ours. The understanding through the lease is that anything that is ours that gets destroyed, they replace.
Right.
So we'll make sure that we keep
closets and everything. I noticed there's still some.
Yes, and we need to clean that side out completely. Have not been there yet.
One other question in regards to the Matthew Brook lease. Then we're leaving 3 months early. Is there any negotiation with the lessee as to whether or not we can get some of that lease money back?
There has not been any conversation there, but that time is the time that Kenny will be utilizing his manpower to paint and do all of possibly.
May, June, July. Okay. All right.
May and June. Yes. So, with regards to that, yes.
One last question about that. The last time we walked through the building, it seems like their students and faculty would have full access to the building. Is there any way to block off their section without violating fire codes?
We would not be able to lock off their section, I don't believe, without that violation, but I don't believe that it wasn't a concern about their staff or their students entering the business side. They have pretty good control over the buildings that they do share, is my understanding. But it certainly can be conversation that I have with them regarding our concerns.
Yeah, I asked because the first time we were there, Dr. Otto talked about a sliding gate across the hall.
Yeah. There are doors that can be closed that are at the ramp when you come in the front entrance, right, as well as on the other side that we could close off. That wouldn't be a violation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments on item 10? Seeing none, moving on to item 11, financial approvals.
I move we table item 11A.
I'll second that. I'm assuming till we get the one we just,
Yes, until
the
next
corrected one
meeting,
back.
we need to have a date.
Okay.
Yeah, for the public, we just met with the auditor. The auditor is going to submit a slight revision to the audit, and then it will be finally voted on.
Yes, you do need a vote to table.
Motion by Mr. Kurtz to table item 11A, second by Ms. Twardowski. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Basil.
This will be an unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved.
Item 11B, a motion to approve a resolution to exempt. This is the LERTA that we already approved.
Mr. Schubert.
Yeah. Mr. Schubert, can you explain what this actually is,
Sure.
please?
This is just to, when the LERTA was approved, the district did not have all the information regarding the Birdsboro Borough Ordinance and the parameters of the exact parameters of the LERTA, other than it's presented at that meeting. This just confirms the parameters of the action taken by the board, and he's meant to assure that it is consistent with the Birdsboro Ordinance and with the authorizing legislation, which is the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Basil, second by Ms. Twardowski.
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Seeing none, motion approved.
Item 12, personnel approvals.
Motion for 12A.
Second.
Question, Mrs. Bites.
Are these are mostly clubs, and help me with clubs, are they seasonal or are they year?
They're year-long, and they're part of, these clubs and activities are part of the DBA's contract, bargaining agreement. They're in there, so they're each year. The things that change are the people, possibly, that might be running them, as someone might decide not to do it the following year that did it, the previous year. But they're routine, and they are the same each year.
And who makes the decision who heads a club? Is that the building principal?
Yes, it has worked out through the building principal and through administration. If somebody, submits and it's questioned, who, what they're doing, it's not really an interview process. It's really been.
If 3 people apply for the same,
If 3 people apply for the same position,
supervisor position, yeah.
Then typically, that's how it's been looked at in the past.
And are these all the clubs then? We wouldn't see another.
You shouldn't see another set. This is it for the next school year.
You might see a name go.
Yeah, a name could change because between now and September, when school starts, maybe somebody might decide to resign.
Okay.
So that could be the change. Right.
And the ones that are blank, does that mean that they're not having them, or does that mean it's not determined yet?
I believe it's that we are not filling that without.
Like stage position. They haven't had someone.
Right, they haven't had someone. So I believe that they're not filled at this point. So the only the only way that it might come forward is with a different name for a position that's approved.
I would ask that when those other names come up for approval, that the existing ones are also presented.
We do. We usually state that replaces so and so.
And then could we have totals, like page totals, just so we have some idea of what we're spending on these?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions or comments? Was there a motion made?
There was a motion and a
got
second.
lost.
So we have a motion by myself and a second by Mr. Kurtz.
Seeing no other questions or comments, Mr. Basin?
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless you hear votes to the contrary. Seeing none, motion approved.
Item 13, the program approvals. Let me just, for clarification purposes, both, at least my understanding is, Mrs. Torsha, correct me if I'm wrong, both the Odyssey of the Mind team and the Technology Student Association, they are doing their own fundraising?
Yes, they have.
And these motions are just consistent with what we've done in the past?
To support their efforts in raising funds to help to defray the cost of these trips, yes.
Right, okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood.
Yes.
This is what we've done.
And there are some costs that we have that the board has agreed to pay in the past, and that is listed as, did we list this here?
Food stipend.
Right. It would be the registration and food stipend, similar to what we've done for the Green Team. And the Green Team's lodging cost was covered through the Glazer Foundation. So I'm just proposing that we pay for the registration so that these teams can go ahead and get registered, and as the board has done in the past, as well as then, you know, support their time that they're there.
What's the registration?
The dollar figure?
I think in the past, the dollar figure was $100 a day, was it not?
For food?
For food, yeah.
I believe so. That's what we did for
The registration fees, whatever the registration.
The registration fee is right, and I do have.
Well, the only thing I would say about the $100 lunch and dinner. The thing I would say about the $100 that we decided on last time was for Washington D.C. I would think the cost in Iowa might be a little less.
You want to adjust it for cost of living?
Yeah. For the Odyssey World, the registration is $2,400, and for the registration for TSA is $2,070.
That's total.
Yes.
Plus the stipend for food.
Right.
Yes.
And the stipend's $100 a day.
Well, but you have quite a few more children, students attending TSA. There's 23. 21 students, 2 advisors. And for our Odyssey trip, we don't have quite as many. And I know that I have that group there, and I know they're sitting there. How many?
This says 7.
7, and they're all giving me hand signals. 7. Yes.
So I just need a total.
$3,000.
That sounds 26.
You got 5 days.
Probably that's 5 days.
TSA is
The 27th.
right, the 27th through the 1st. So I know that in the past, I don't know that we did $100 for
We did this
Worlds,
2
did
years
we?
ago, didn't we? When you guys went to Iowa, didn't you go to Iowa 2 years ago?
But I don't recall.
And I thought we.
I know
can't
we
remember the
reimbursed.
exact dollar figure, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
It was
small.
right. I think it was less than that per day for food. Correct.
We food and recreation. We also they also provide lodging.
Right. There was
right.
there
We
was money
provide
that was
lodging.
towards the lodging as well for the days that the competition took place. It's difficult to find the exact.
It wasn't in the minutes back then, I think.
No, it wasn't, and without digging through the receipts of.
I would say you leave it at $100 a day, and they have to provide receipts.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but if you want to cut it to $50 a day or something else, I mean, it's up to you guys. I think that they're going to be providing us with the receipts for their food.
Can't we just rely on Mrs. Torsh's recommendation on that?
That's reasonable.
Well, first of all, the largest group is going to D.C., so I don't see how you could reduce that, because food and everything there is expensive. My suggestion is just leave it like that. Like you're saying, you're going to provide receipts.
Yeah, just get receipts. I agree with that.
Yeah, up to $100 per day with receipts. Up to.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's a cost, but I was at the meeting 2 years ago, and then this is the business we're in. I mean, this is the academic part of the business, and I can't see not supporting it.
Yeah, we got to enable these folks to go.
Right.
Well, I would be happy to make a motion to approve 13A and B with the registration fees as stated by Mrs. Torsha and food stipend not to exceed $100 per person per day.
Second.
With receipts.
With receipts.
Now, we had in the past supported some support to, and I apologize for this, to the Odyssey group for room reimbursement. But I don't believe that we supported food at the same amount. I believe this monetary value is up a little bit more. I think we gave $100 a night towards, now that I can remember that. It was $100. They have to fly to Iowa.
In negotiations, they call this the tack on. Just saying. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I promised this group I would try to.
Can I withdraw my motion because I feel something else coming on here?
No, that was the only thing that I was adding on was that their cost for. Because they have to fly. I'm working with TSA to take our district vans so that will reduce the cost for transportation for them. They should be able to, travel by our vans for that time period. So I think that would kind of equal. It's not
crazy
to
to think that it came out to something like $2,000 a student the last time we did this.
For Worlds for Odyssey.
Yeah.
I don't.
Can they request more later and just go with this tonight?
Well,
I think if you give them $100 a night for the student's stay, and it was only the nights that they were required to be there. So if they arrived early, that room was on the parents, on them, their own, and then you supported the nights that they were there.
Why don't we move ahead with?
Okay.
Excuse me. Move ahead with the registration and the food, and then we can address the.
But if you're doing food, then if you're doing a room, then maybe you scale back the food.
I'm just saying, though, we've got two different things here going on. We don't have the numbers from last time. Okay. We could push one thing forward so they can at least start making some plans. Right. And I think we have opportunity at the next meeting, the next committee of the whole, to discuss the other one. We can hopefully dig up what we did last time.
And I will have the receipts dug out and see what we did. But I'm also asking that you allow them to begin any kind of fundraising that they would like to do. And I also would like to announce that there has been an anonymous $500 donation made to the TSA trip for this purpose. So
that's very generous.
And whomever that person is, we thank them very much, seriously. I think what Mr. Basil said about moving forward with this, we could, at the next meeting, come up with a limit, which includes registration, food, lodging, whatever, not to exceed, but at least this is a start.
Yep. Very good.
So the motion as listed is fine for now. Motion by Mr. Dowski, second by Mrs. Bites. Any other comments or questions? Saying none, Mr. Basil?
This will be a unanimous roll call vote. Unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved.
Item 14, policy, there's no report. Transportation, there's no report. Is there any old business?
Say what? Let Mr. Rathgriff bring this up.
Is this old business, Mrs. Kramer?
What is the business on?
Right.
I was just saying she wasn't going to let me.
Yeah, no, she's hiding things.
Well, I guess there is old business.
That's what I'm hearing.
This is been signed, so we approved it as a board. I did send out to the board last week that the union did agree to a memo of understanding as far as movement for a pay grade scale when it comes to education purposes. So this is that memo here, which has been executed by the EDEA, so we need to approve that. Does anybody have any questions on that?
We can sign.
Yeah,
We
we
have to officially
we have to
authorize
officially
execution.
approve it before we can sign it.
Oh, I thought we already did, okay.
No, I didn't. I just need it back.
So we need to make a motion.
I'll move to authorize execution of the MOU.
Between
the,
Daniel Boone and the DBA.
thank you, Daniel Boone and the DBA.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Fradowski, second by Mr. Doty. Are there any other comments or questions on the memorandum of understanding? Seeing none, Mr. Baseman.
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless they hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved.
No other old business? Mrs. Kramer?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Under new business, and I believe we need to take these separately, is Mrs. Dungan, who is relocating her home, so has submitted her resignation as a school board director and effectively also as the BCTC alternative representative. So are there any questions or comments about Mrs. Dungan's resignation?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Fradowski, second by Mr. Kurtz. No questions or comments? Mr. Basin.
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless they hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved.
And I would like to say, and it has nothing to do with the motion, so that's why I held it back, but I want to thank Mrs. Dungan for her time on the board. She ran for election, she was elected, and served well for the couple of months that she was on the board. So she'll be missed. Is there anyone that wants to be the BCTC alternative representative? If not, I guess I will.
What are the duties? Because I might.
If I can attend the JOC meeting, which is the fourth Wednesday of the month, I think, which is like the Tech School, the alternate goes. And basically, you get there sometime around 5:30, between 5:30 and 6. They'll feed you dinner. 6:30, you usually tour a program.
I think you just convinced them.
And then the meeting starts at 7:30.
You had them at dinner.
5:30 to 9, something like that.
I don't think dinner was ever mentioned before.
We keep that quiet because we don't want people to volunteer for that job. But it is really neat to learn about the different opportunities for the kids. So.
Yeah, I would do that.
I'll nominate Brian Doty.
I'll second that.
Nomination by Mr. Kurtz, second by Mr. Radowski. Comments or questions? Saying none.
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless they hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. Doty.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tamara.
Now, Mr. Kurtz, you are currently the BCIU representative, but that term expires. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that term expires on July 1st of this year.
And we need to appoint a new representative.
Yes, I would not like to continue in that role because of my schedule. So that position is open, and it's always open anyway. But we have to choose a new board member for that. Those meetings are on the third Thursday of each month except for July. And they are held at BCIU headquarters near Reading. It's an incredibly interesting position. BCIU is a state education agency, and their budget is over $100 million. There's a lot of area in there that could be, I think, looked at. I think that some things board members should try to dig, whoever the board member is, for information, because you only have one meeting a month, and there's a lot going through that organization. And I've enjoyed my past few years on it, but I think it's time to hand the baton over to someone else. It's an evening meeting, yes, and they do serve you dinner before as well.
Brian, did you want that one too?
Hey, it's 2 meals a week. And,
I know. That might be like...
That's only monthly.
It's up to declare it on Saturday.
Is there anyone interested in the BCIU representative?
What day of the week again is it?
Thursday.
Third Thursday. Oh.
I mean, I can probably do that.
Can I nominate Mr. Rathia?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Nomination by Mr. Kurtz, second by Mr. Doty. Comments or questions? Mr. Basil?
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion approved.
We have the board vacancy, so I guess the question becomes, do we want to do anything with that tonight? Do we want to wait? What do we want to do? On Ms. Dungan's position as the representative for which Region 3, I believe.
Well, I'm not going to speak for him directly. I guess I will. I think Mr. Wolf, who used to sit on this board, would be interested in serving. And I would certainly like to put forth his name as a board, to appoint him as a board member. I think he served the district very well in the time that he was here, and if he was willing to come back, I would certainly welcome his experience and his insight to the board, and would hope that the board would consider him as a director.
I'd like to add to that I think with so many new board members, getting someone with Mr. Wolf's experience would be a definite asset to the board. So.
I would certainly be in favor of that as well. I kind of ran for this spot because he had some time constraints at the time, but I think he was a great asset to the board, and I would certainly be happy to back him if he was interested.
How long did he serve and what committees was he on?
He served for 2 years. He was the head of our negotiations committee. I believe he served on BCTC as a representative there. He was also on, I think, facilities. I can't remember all the committees he served.
He was on facilities.
Yeah,
he was on facilities as well. And actually, Mr. Wolf is in the audience. You could probably ask him himself what he served on.
Do you need to know all the committees he served on?
I just want to make sure he was on committees and that he's attended them. And I guess that's what you're telling me?
Yeah, he was a very integral part of the board.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I guess I was throwing it out there as a motion. If somebody wanted to second that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Basil, second by Mr. Dowski.
Well, yeah, we may want to ask him to come up and see if he wants it first. Like I said, I wasn't speaking for him.
We were just going to point back the nation.
I'd like to point out that he's not wearing the blue that the rest of the male board members are wearing.
You missed that memo.
So he could stand out in the crowd.
Mike Wolf, 804 West 8th Street, Birdsburg.
Did you sign?
There's no. Yes, I would like to submit my name for consideration for approval to fill out the next year and a half of what's left of Ms. Dunnigan's term.
Well, but somebody will have to run again. It only goes to the next election, and then somebody would have to run for the remainder of the 2 years.
Correct. It's only until the first Monday following the next municipal election.
And that will be the end.
Yeah, I said that once too.
Mr. Wolf.
If it helps, I was on the Facilities Committee, Revenue Enhancement Committee.
Wait, she's not listening, Mr. Wolf. Wait.
I'm sorry. I just want a clarification. What would the term be then?
Until the first Monday in December following the next municipal election.
That means
Which is 2015.
2015.
December 1, first Monday in December 2015.
To answer your question, I was in the Facilities Committee. I served on the Revenue Enhancement Committee. I was the BCTC representative, as well as chaired the Meet and Discuss Committee.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. So the motion was made by Mr. Basil, seconded by Mr. Dowski. Other comments or questions? Mr. Basil?
This will be a unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Do you want to do it individually? It doesn't make a difference to me. I'm dying over here with a cold, but if you
want me to read for you or what?
No, it's okay. It's not critical.
Oh, we can do it that way.
We only need to do it individually if somebody objects.
Okay, it's unanimous roll call vote unless I hear votes to the contrary. Am I hearing any votes to the contrary? Okay, seeing none, welcome aboard, Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf will swear you in at the committee of the whole meeting in May. Thank you. Also, a couple other things under new business. Mrs. Duncan was on the facilities committee. She was on the revenue enhancement committee. And she was on the ad hoc policy review committee. So we are going to have to replace those. What I'd like to do is have the board members and Mr. Wolf think about which, if any of those committees they'd like to be on. Mr. Speed, just looking at the list, I was thinking, you are already on the facilities committee, and that committee and the revenue enhancement meets on the same night. If that would interest you, and just something for you to think about, it would save you a night. You don't have to answer me now. We'll do it later.
No, but I could bring like pretzels or something.
Mr. Radowski has the number for Domino's, she says. One last item under new business. After many months, this is the last meeting for Dr. Sanker and for Mr. Seldenridge, and they both came here when the district was sort of in a state of flux with all kinds of vacancies both on the board and in the administration, and it got us through a period of turmoil, so to speak. And thankfully now the only vacancy in the upper level of administration that we have is we have not yet backfilled Mrs. Torship, but other than that, we're in pretty good shape, I believe. So having said that, Dr. Sanker and Mr. Seldenridge, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
I'm sure Patty's going to miss our long Monday executive session.
Actually, this is the best he's done since we started here.
Trained him well. It's the consent agenda,
We have
but
public
thank you.
We're not superintendent.
Yeah, that's right. It's the superintendent. Any other board comments or questions?
I have something really quickly. Just speaking, going again on committees. The policy committee is down to 2 members, so we'd really appreciate at least one more person. We're going to have a meeting in May. I believe it's May 15th. That's correct?
I don't know.
Okay. There's going
on
to
the
be a
website.
meeting in May, but it'll be after the committee of the whole. We could maybe approve a member there or 2 members. Please consider that one, too.
Oh, no, we'll fill the 3rd position, hopefully by volunteer. If not, we'll have to appoint someone.
Or you got to bring dinner. One of the 2.
Yeah, dinner seems to sell it. So.
No other board comment or question. Presentations by the public on issues.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Booski. I'm at 364 Rosebud Drive, and I wanted to talk about keeping in favor of our current elementary music program. I'm a musician. I've been playing piano since I was 5, clarinet since the 5th grade, played guitar, bass guitar, drums, organ, and I have a recording studio, and I also teach students. The reason why I'm in favor of this music program we have right now is some of the things that were already discussed, including no additional cost to parents, instruments being available, and there's a really good rental program with Lowe's Music right now. The program we have right now is going very smoothly. The music teachers we have are excellent and have years of experience encouraging our students. I can teach, and I have taught clarinet and flute and guitar to students, but there's a certain style that's needed for young children. It's more of a nurturing and encouragement that not everyone has. And sometimes I love classical music. My son's on the RSYO, but some classical people can be a little stuffy. Not Todd here, but some are. One of the things I also found is both my children have a spectrum of ADHD, and when they were in the elementary school here, they really were able to build up their self-esteem, to mature, to learn how to work in a group environment, and it's been tremendously helpful for both of my children. The fee for music will not only be another turnoff for people who are thinking about moving into the area, but Daniel Boone will not be a desirable area, knowing music will be only an after-school program, especially when you have many families with both parents working and not being able to transport their children to programs that they may not be able to afford. Todd Sullivan, I talked to him briefly after he spoke, and he said that his goal for the school district was to maintain our elementary school program and then have, in addition, this after-school program for the strength, since this district does not offer an orchestra. And that would be a good option. What also Mr. Sullivan said to me is he expects only half of the students who are currently in the elementary school program would be part of his program. They have not done this program before in any of the schools, so having to start a new program and having us be the guinea pigs, I don't think would be the best idea. But if they had this as in addition to our music program, we could work out a lot of the kinks and maybe have this transition of getting a larger string orchestra in this area would be something really positive.
Sarah, that's 3 minutes, if you would please wrap up.
Absolutely. So with a reduction in the enrollment in the elementary band, will have a domino effect and will reduce the amount of children who will also play in the middle school and high school. We already have a smaller marching band because of the fees parents have to pay. And in several years ahead, you can expect that the marching band and the high school band will be even smaller if only half of these kids only have that option of an after-school program.
Thank you.
Could I request, tomorrow is on, the next meeting...
Mr. Templin, your name and address, please, Mr. Templin.
What's that?
Your name and address and sign in, please.
I signed in, you know who I am. Come on. We're Harry Templin, Union Township. Give us some megaphones. Let us hear what you're saying up there. This side of the case, I heard nothing all night. I heard 1/3 of this meeting. It's getting aggravated. Aggravated, I'm saying. I'm sitting there. I'm getting old, not getting that deaf. Come on. The ones with the big microphones I could hear, you I could hear. This table I couldn't hear at all. This presentation I heard about 3 words of. Please, get something going here for these people so they can hear.
Thank you, Mr. Templin.
Go ahead, hon. You can go. Just get it.
Michelle Miller, 600 Ridge Drive, Douglasville. I just had a question about the opening that was replaced tonight. It seems like it's been done differently in the past. When we had an open seat on the board, you accepted letters from people that wanted to fill it, and this evening it was just kind of filled automatically. I have no objection from Mr. Wolf. I just don't understand why the process was different, because I think when Twidarski, Doty, and Speed were filled in the empty seats, did they not have an opportunity to submit a letter? Is this a different process tonight, or am I missing something?
No, Ms. Miller, you didn't miss anything. When the last 3 people were appointed, we had multiple vacancies. We advertised it for interest. At the same time, I checked with the solicitor on what exactly were the procedures we were required to use, and there really aren't any, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And with so many new board members and someone of Mr. Wolf's experience available and interested, it's just an asset to the board to not have to break in one more new board member.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Carter Hall, Everett Hall 328 Deerport. I was wondering if you would please consider stopping mid-meeting for a public comment. The public comment at the beginning and the end of the meeting is fine, but you've already voted on items. At the end, it's too late to ask questions or sway your vote in any sort. I mean, if you stop midway, it would give us a chance to catch up and not just leave us sitting out here trying to understand what you were all talking about and not knowing just about anything. So you would hear what we would like before you go ahead and vote for yourselves, which I have no objection against. I mean, I'm sure you're all very qualified to vote for us, but it would be more, I should say, official to hear from us before you vote for things such as like BEC or other things which have already been voted on. So just please consider that.
I understand what you're saying. If you would follow the agenda the way it was tonight, as opposed to the Committee of the Whole meeting, the Committee of the Whole still allows for comment for each item on the agenda. The voting meeting tonight was basically voting on all the items that were discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting. So the public actually had the chance to weigh in on each item, or will have the chance to weigh in on each item. Additionally, we voted on nothing tonight other than the new business, the representatives, that hadn't been discussed at the last meeting. And I want to add something, not just for your benefit, but for everyone's benefit. This is actually representative governance. And each person up here was either elected by the public at large to represent them and make decisions based on their best judgment, or by the board where we had to fill in vacant positions. We've been discussing public comment. I understand the policy committee is again going to discuss it. So I would think, and Mr. Kurtz and Mrs. Bites are both on the policy committee, that they will at least consider what you just said. But I can't promise what the outcome of that will be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being engaged in the process. Thank you.
Hi, I belong to him. I'm Amy Hall. I'm at 328 Drew Court. Thank you for listening to him. He is not a voter, obviously. He's 12. He has wanted to be the President of the United States since he was 6. You can thank Mrs. Rigner for that. She's a kindergarten teacher for him. He has been asking lots of questions. He's been coming to the meetings. He's intrigued because you're in college. He's coming to these meetings and he's asking lots of questions. He did come to the Committee of the Whole. He's come to a couple of other little meetings with me. So I'm here to reiterate and just ask. Please consider when you notice that there's conversation going on, because we're lost, we are lost. If you might be able to just stop when there's something big. You know, sometimes things just aren't big. You know, okay, there's clearances we have to go to for. Sure, go ahead. But when you know there's something big, maybe you might consider first, and then a second, and then a third spot. You do have the 3 minutes. You can knock us off when you need to, but just consider it, because when a 12-year-old asks. Come on, most of your parents. That's it, just consider. And thank you again for entertaining me.
I'm glad he's interested. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shane Cockle, 830 Geigertown Road. I think with you even considering outsourcing the elementary music program would be a horrible decision to make. First, it would be another cost to parents. We were already spending hundreds, and some of us are spending thousands of dollars on what used to be covered by the school district. Now it's put on to the parents. Second, with an after-school program, you have transportation issues. he's going to pay for the busing, or are you expecting all the parents to come pick up the kids? Second is food. I mean, my kids are starved by the time they get home from school. I mean, to have students here until 5 o'clock, they're going to be famished, tired, grumpy. I think it'd be a horrible decision. And you did vote to do the realignment, correct?
Yes.
And that's going to save a ton of money.
No.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
One teacher.
Go ahead.
Why can't that money be used to save the elementary band? I mean, there's money there that can be used. So why not reinvest it and keep the programs instead of pocketing and, pushing it forward? Another problem I have with some of the comments tonight is asking the public to contact our congressman and our governor for problems that when we come to our school board with the same kind of issues of saving programs and reinvesting into our children's future, it seems that, I don't want to say it falls on deaf ears, but the outcome over the past years is it's been cut to save money, and save money. And remember, this is a board's decision to be financially in the hole. For the past few years, there has not been any tax increase. So when we are so bad financially, it's because of we do not want to tax. So it's your decisions and the prior board's decisions to put us in this predicament where we are losing programs and we are losing students, and we have to cap, programs that when they're representing our school district and the TSA and Odyssey. It's a shame we can't just fund the whole thing. Like if football would go on to state championships, I'm sure we'll pay for everything and the cheerleaders and everything to go follow. I think we really need to focus on the students.
Mr. Copley, you want to wrap up, please?
I'm finished. I was just waiting if any of the board has any comment.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll just comment, Mr. Copley.
Oh, please. Mr. Templin, at least 10 times since we've been going to the school board meetings in Birdsboro, has asked for microphones so we can hear it. I didn't hear anything that any of you
Look,
had to say.
When we show up at night, clearly we've got microphones in front of us, but I'm not an AV guy. So I can't get in the back and figure out what's going on and solve the microphone issue. So, you guys, you can yell at the board about it, and we hear you, and we've made attempts to try to solve the issue by making sure everybody has a microphone, but sometimes it's not always going to work. We're doing our best, okay? As it relates to the music program, you understand where we are and why we're providing this. We're looking at alternatives, okay? Because the option is if you lose the program altogether, then there's no music. So if the choice is no music or an after-school program that people have to pay for, I'm just trying to make sure that we keep music around. And if people have to pay for it, then people have to pay for it. If we have to figure out a way to help those that can't, then we'll figure out a way to help those that can't. But I don't believe in the absolutes here, and I think that if you have a choice, most people would prefer to keep a program around. And remember, we're here because of a lot of decisions, not just taxes, but obligations in terms of our collective bargaining agreements, PSERs, debt service, all kinds of different things that are binding the hands of this board from being able to make the appropriate financial decisions that we need to make. And as a result of that, we've had to cut programs, absolutely. We've cut millions and millions of dollars of programs from our budget, as well as waste. And we've also looked at alternative sources of revenue that have come in to provide for the things that we want to keep. So whether it's demand response, or it's closing a building, or it's leasing a building, or it's charging activity fees, or it's these other things, we're looking for alternative sources of revenue as well. It's not an easy situation. You know that. You've been here for year after year after year. But when you're looking at $7 million, $5 million, $4 million deficits, you can't possibly raise taxes enough to cover all those things. Cuts have to be made in the services that we're providing. And so it's a balanced approach. Right now, our budget has a tax increase in it. And we're still...
Every year has a tax increase in it.
It has a tax increase in it right now, and it's still cutting these programs. So it's not a choice right now. We have a tax increase built in, and we're still cutting these programs. So to say we ought to raise taxes, well, we already have that in the budget. So what's the next option to save the program? I think we got to look at reaching out to other providers in the community that may be able to help us with those things. And so that's what we're trying to do. Is it a perfect solution? No, it's not. But it's... In many ways, I think if you have an opportunity to look at it, in many ways it may not be as good as what we have, but in many ways maybe it's also better in some other aspects. I don't know what the answer is. My kids don't participate in the music program here, but we haven't even tried this yet, and we're already blasting holes in it. I think you have to keep our minds open to what other options are out there, and come at these things with open minds, and look at the positive aspects of it too. I mean, we do want some feedback. Maybe there are ways to improve what's been presented. But, before we cut the knees out of the people that are coming forward to try to help us, I think we ought to at least give them a chance to put an offer on the table that we can all discuss and try to come up with a good solution for.
Right. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be dipping into our pockets, either as a taxpayer or... supporting.
I hear what you're saying, but remember, we pushed this program down into our curriculum, right? I mean, at one point, we didn't have this program there, and it wasn't that long ago. We'd like to keep it, but, we're forced to be in a position where we may have to roll some of these things back. Maybe it's only temporarily. I mean, we were at a budget meeting a week ago where we were looking at, hey, if you make certain assumptions, maybe we start going into the black in another year or two here. And maybe that's an opportunity for us to be able to bring some of these programs back in the long term. But in the short term, we're under the squeeze. And so, we got to make some hard choices. Nobody up here likes the idea of cutting programs.
For the record, just and to clarify for the public and for my own knowledge, the first $7 million of our income, our tax revenue, pays the debt service, correct?
That's correct. Actually, I would say that's probably the third $7 million. The first $35 million goes to pay salaries and benefits.
Okay.
And then the second $7 million goes to pay debt service.
We have a PSERS unfunded mandate this year of $1.9 million, and our maximum tax increase, which is in our budget, is $900,000.
Yeah.
Income.
Yes.
So we have to offset all of these huge expenses with a maximum tax rate of less than $1 million. That's the situation.
Correct.
Just sorry.
The contractual obligation increase alone is $3 million. If you take the tax increase to the maximum, we get 1.1 with all the or something like that.
Not this year.
The exceptions.
So
do the math. You can't make it work.
And I try. And I've been saying this for the last 4 years, and you guys keep saying when it comes time at the end of the year of the budget, you say, everything's great. We don't need to raise the tax.
No, but
we knew what pieces were going to be this year. Last year, the board did, but taxes weren't raised.
All right, excuse me. We're getting into a whole budget discussion here, and I don't think we need to at this point in time. But thank you, Mr. Coppa, for your comments.
Thank you.
Could I just...
Mr. Basil, that I heard. You must have spoken into your microphone.
No, actually, I'm just shouting.
Can I respond to the music? I'm not sure I want to call it outsourcing the music program, because we're not really outsourcing the music program. We're cutting the music program. We're trying to offer an alternative. We're not outsourcing anything.
That's correct.
We're cutting the program. It's in the budget to be cut. People on the board went out and tried to find an alternative for people if they wanted their elementary school kids to participate in music. Just like if you want your elementary school kid to participate in sports, you do Blazer Mat Club or Blazer Midget Football. We're not outsourcing the program, and I want to make that clear because we're not doing this
We won't be involved.
Correct. It's
Private
right. We're
contractors.
just trying to provide an alternative for people that want to utilize it.
Thank you. Ms. Reno.
Laurel Reno, 367 Buckhead Lane. First of all, I want to say I don't have any children in band. I am a little concerned. I understand the need and what you're trying to do by getting an outside group. If you have to cut it, at least we can provide it. My biggest concern was when Mrs. Snavely said that there were 140 kids at Amity, and between MEC and BEC, 135, yet this program is budgeting, hoping for 125. That's cutting elementary band in half is a good number to them. I would urge this board to look at what has happened to the music program since activity fees were instated, what has been the effect on the marching band. The things like that. I don't have children in marching band. I've been told our marching band is much smaller than it used to be. That's all scholarship money. We don't have a program that tells us, we don't collect information from our high school seniors to find out what kind of scholarship money they are receiving. However, I have been lucky enough to go to the night at the high school where the seniors are giving scholarships from the local area, and that totals millions of dollars. And we don't know what the schools are giving people. We don't know what students are getting music scholarships so that they can continue their education. If we cut this program and we cut our number of students in half, what is the domino effect 5-10 years from now? And we need to look at that. Penny wise and a pound foolish. We've been there. We've done that. We need to change it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Sarkowski, 124 Slate Run Road. I want to again thank the board for the continued support of Odyssey of Mine and this team going back to the World Championships. And personally, Mrs. Torsch, I know you've been heavily involved with a lot of parents in communication and preparing and planning. So I just want one point of clarification for the last meeting. As we get our fundraising hats on, so the registration fee and then up to $100 per day per child with receipts is where we stand at this point. Is that correct?
That is correct. And then I was going to get back to the board with regards to receipts that we collected 2 years ago that showed reimbursement, I believe, for the lodging for the students. So we will confirm that as well.
Okay, and once again, thank you very much.
And of course, sir, if your fundraising is so successful that you don't need our money, we'd appreciate that too.
Trust me, I'm leaving with you after pretty full-heartedly. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more statement. We have a music wall that has accomplished musicians. Richie Coxon, Larry Marshall, Mark Dry, and many others. We have a sports wall. Do we have a sports wall that any sports player is playing professional ball from Danny Boone? No. Let's keep the music.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. Any other presentations by the public? Seeing none, I need to announce that before the meeting tonight, we did have an informational meeting in which we had the auditor address our concerns about the financial audit that took place several months ago. So we did have that meeting earlier. Any other board comments or questions?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ms. Ferdowski. Meeting adjourned.